to join, and you can introduce yourself, and then the actual conversations will begin. The recommended course is to have each person give 5 minutes, no more. The summary of the type of work that you and or your team have been doing in the past. You can give a little bit of direction of where you'd like to see things go in the future and what types of things you would value if other people were doing. But you're only supposed to be getting credit for the work you have already done to contribute to the cause of spreading fractal governance and seeing more fractals form, and the overall success of the community. So this is not like Eden, where everyone showed up and they were pitching, pick me, I'm going to take the money, and I'm going to do this over the next 6 months. That's not what this is for. This is also not for doing a whole lot of like global decision making. This is all about local decision making of the people that you're going to be randomly assigned to. What are they doing? Do you appreciate what they're doing? And then ranking them accordingly. As we're doing these meetings, we're going to do, if we have enough people, at most 2 rounds. 1 round of 6, and then the winners of that will be in a second round. I don't know that we'll have enough today. Maybe we will. We actually might get pretty close to having enough for a second round today. Yeah. All right, if you just joined us in the chat, area, I've posted a link, and this link goes to the draft contributor agreement, to the fractal contributor agreement. This agreement is basically there to protect each and every one of us. We are meeting, we are ranking. There is respect that is being tallied by volunteers in a completely manual method at this point in time. This contributor agreement can be modified and will be modified based on the feedback that we get after this call. But it's a mutual agreement. Everyone is giving equal and reciprocal rights to each other. The purpose is to acknowledge shared facts so there can be no dispute over certain facts, and basically to prevent anybody from suing anybody over any opinion that anyone expresses here or on any blockchain. Let's just all get along and reach consensus and do good in the world, is effectively what this is. It's long because we need to look at all the different ways that governments and regulations attempt to impact people who leave things not spelled out. When you don't spell things out, governments fill in the blanks, or other people fill in the blanks with what they assumed was the case and try to hold you accountable to those assumptions. I don't want any assumptions. So the number one thing there is every single thing that we're building, all consensus is just opinion, all tokens is just the opinion of the community, not the property of the person who has of whom the community has a good opinion. And the community is free to change their opinion at any time, both on the quantity and the value. All the value of all tokens is actually just community opinion. So Bitcoin can lose all its value if the opinion changes. But we're just sticking to the fact that, hey, we're just agreeing on opinions, and opinions are not regulated. Freedom of speech, in theory, is not regulated, and you have no right to control other people's opinions. And that's more or less what you're agreeing to. There is a giant exemption in the securities laws for any tokens distributed to people who make bona fide contributions to the community or to the organization. And just by showing up on this call, you are making a bona fide contribution by helping reach consensus. That's sort of the minimum level of effort. And if you do nothing else, that is still a positive contribution to the cause, because you're helping tap the wisdom of the crowds. So the plan to keep better track of things is to have everyone publish their consensus to the Hive blockchain. We're going to take a roll call of everyone here. If you sign up on the registration link, I asked for your EOS and your Hive account. You all have Zoom accounts because it required you to log in. So in the future, you can give us your Hive account. We can link it back to the Zoom account you logged in with. And so the idea is this, at the start of every call, we will post our Hive username in the chat log. We will then have somebody nominated to create an actual post on Hive that has the membership list. These are the people that were on at the beginning of the call. We'll then break up into groups of random 6. The random groups will be assigned by Zoom breakout rooms. Each group will go through the process of reaching consensus on from rank 6 on down. And if you only have 5 members in your group, then it's like 5, 4, 3. It's the top ranks. The bottom one is basically empty. You will then reply to that Hive blog post with your consensus opinion, and we'll provide exact formats of what those comments should look like. Everyone will be expected to, in your group, will be expected to return the exact same answer. If you provide a consensus answer in the comments that differs from the 2/3 majority of your group, you get no respect, even though you would have ranked respect by consensus. You have to report the consensus opinion. It's not a vote, it's a reporting of what the consensus was. And yeah, so then what we'll be able to do.
Question. Yep. Sorry, quick question. Without a Hive account, make things more complicated? Is this mandatory to have a Hive account?
The reason for a Hive account is one, a blockchain account that has a public key attached to your name and that you can publish to without having to write any new user interface software. So it's really just a matter of, we're all here, everyone's so enthusiastic, they were starting this the week after we do the white paper. So this is the shortest path with minimal software development. Hive accounts can be had for free or near free, just a couple dollars. And you don't have to do it right now, but before the things get too far along, it would be a good idea to have that. And then of course we will backfill as much as possible. The longer it takes us to get actual records on the blockchain, the more likely there will be errors. So the goal is over the course of the next 6 months, while we are building out the smart contracts that are going to govern the whole fractal process, that we'll be doing this on Hive. We'll write a script that will process all the Hive posts and create the initial respect distribution for everyone. So if you want to get maximum credit, then we'll have some tutorials on exactly how to publish to Hive produced. We have community members that are already producing content, and we'll help you do that. At the end of the day, fractal governance is all about people. Technology is a tool to automate things, and it's the people that are actually what's important. So being able to demonstrate that we can do this process with a little bit of manual overhead to keep track of it, but the good news is the people that are doing the manual overhead can earn the respect of the community, right? They're the secretaries and the treasurers and the greeters, all the different roles that you have in the community. That is a role that people can play right now. So if you've got development skills and you can build an app on top of Hive that can help people do this, that would be one way of doing it. If you can write the script for Hive, that would be another. If you can create tutorials on how to publish this to Hive. Obviously, we need to get things organized enough that the script writer can have an easier job of trying to piece together the information that everyone is publishing. So with that said, let's talk about the meeting today. Last week, we discovered that the process that tended to work best, and you're not bound to use any particular process, but the process that worked best is everyone would reach consensus on who made the biggest value contributions to the community in the past week. Then you, by process of elimination, then you go to the next biggest and so on down. And that was easier than everyone trying to like rank and put things on a spreadsheet and sort things out. At least that was the experience that we had. So I would recommend a similar experience process. The other thing is this is not about people. This is about contributions. What do they actually do that you value that is deserving of respect? If we make this personal, people will get offended. And so we need to be guarding our culture to make sure that it's looking at as much about what they're doing, not like, oh, I don't like you or you're mean or whatever. Obviously, you have to consider negative contributions relative to positive, right? Some people are destroying value and the good that they're doing is offset, but it's not, don't make it about the people, make it about the contributions that they've made and not just the contributions this week, but the contributions over time relative to the amount of respect they've received over time. That's a little bit more nuanced, but if you do a lot of work this week and then you get randomly assigned to a group with a bunch of superstars, you're not going to rank very high just because relative to the other people in your group, you didn't do anything. But next week, when you're in another group, you can say, hey, last week I was in a group with a bunch of fractally team members and they're really hard to compete with. Maybe I can get recognized for the stuff I did now that you're in a group of people that just want to show up to the meeting and not do anything else during the week. By the way, just showing up to the meeting is okay, even if you don't do anything else. However, the reason why we have the Fibonacci rank ordering is to always create incentive to at least do something. So did you make a positive tweet? Did you like? Did you share? Did you invite someone? Doing one more thing than each week gives you a greater chance of getting a higher ranking if you're getting assigned with a bunch of people that are otherwise just showing up for the meeting. So, always look for ways of that. And as you go through the week, if you're not, try to take notes on the things that you think are adding value so that you can share it effectively. You don't have to remember on the spot. And the people who can best communicate the value that they have brought in the past week will be there. I would encourage everyone to record your breakout rooms. When you record your breakout rooms, if you'd like to share them on YouTube or whatnot, then they can be shared and we can all learn how the consensus process went. You have sort of accountability now because now you have a video log that you can use to audit what the consensus actually was. And that can really help us hold people accountable. People tend to be honest when they are on video and subject to being recorded. That said, everyone please be aware that these videos are being recorded and may be published online. If you're not comfortable being recorded and published online, please leave the meeting now. By remaining, you are giving your consent to that recording. Are there any questions before I send us off into our breakout rooms?
Yeah, I was about 3 minutes early, not 10 minutes early. Am I accounted for and on this list by people that are going to enter breakout rooms?
Yes, everyone on this call, when I hit the breakout button, Zoom will do it. So you are good to go. The early bird requirements is more like when the software finally shows up. You only really need to be there like 2 minutes ahead of time, but you don't want to avoid the rush so the blockchains don't get clogged and other things that can happen.
When we post on Hive, is there a specific title or format that we use?
There will be a specific title and format that will be used. This particular week, we're not requiring posting on Hive. The only thing we're requiring this week is that you post to the Zoom room chat. The chat log of this call will be the log that we use for this particular week. next week when you register, try to register your Hive account so that we have a public key tied to your contributions.
Hey, Dan, so are we voting on contributions towards, I guess, this new fractal community? I feel like a lot of people here are from also the EOS community too. So are we voting towards overall contributions within this whole ecosystem? No.
Sure. Any contribution toward spreading the idea of fractal governance and in getting the adoption of the fractally process, the fractally white paper. As an Eden on EOS member, you got to participate in the early prototypes of this governance process. So that is a contribution you've made simply by being an Eden member. You've informed this and you've been spreading these ideas. So that's a type of contribution. The types of things that I would not consider specific contributions for this is if you contributed open source development to some other blockchain or some other business, that is a little bit outside the scope of the Genesis fractal that we are here. There will be fractals that are, there will be an EOS fractal for Eden. There will be a fractal for Bitcoin and a fractal for Ethereum and a fractal for every language and different time zones and countries. The goal is to see the replication and creation of lots of fractals, because fractals have a limit in size. There's only 7,000 or so members per fractal. And that's intentional based on my book, More Equal Animals. We don't want power to get too big or it actually ceases to be representative. So this group is all about promoting the idea of fractal governance, helping create tools to allow this group to function more efficiently, helping to invite people and welcome people to this process. Obviously, just showing up and helping build a consensus, you're contributing to this. That's why everyone is getting respect just for being here.
Is there something you have to do, Dan, to enable us to be able to record our breakout rooms?
Well, this is my first time doing all this. If you don't record the breakout rooms, then that's okay. I've recorded this main session, and the chat logs will be recorded when you come back from your breakout room. I will see what I can do about giving everyone recording permissions once. Well, we've got 50 participants. So that is a really great showing. That means we're going to be able to do 2 rounds today. Awesome, everyone. Anything before I do the breakout rooms?
Dan, can I leave the meeting on my iPhone and rejoin on my computer, assuming it's the same account, Zoom account, or am I gone?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen if you're happen not to be on the call when I hit the breakout room button. So I will.
Can I try it now?
I'll give you 1 minute to switch while I answer any other questions.
Thank you.
And the voting process, is that done at the end? There's any particular method of that?
Sorry, I had a hard time understanding. Can you say that again?
The voting process at the end, is there a specific way we've got to do this?
There's no particular way, as long as after we come back from the breakout rooms, you enter the exact same order as everyone else in your group. Okay. So I guess we need to identify your common identifier, which I think at this point might be your either your Hive account if you have one, or your Zoom login ID. It can't just be nicknames, because how we're going to map those nicknames back to the underlying things.
EOS address?
EOS address will work. We'll figure out a way to make sure that if you have an EOS account, that we can use that as an identifier. So either your EOS account and your Steam account when you put the account name, put at Hive or at EOS, so that we know which type of account that is when you're participating. Yeah.
Then I have a query. So I have late, 3-4 minutes. So I could not join in initially. So one particular question is like, is there any objective, like when you go to the breakup room, is there any particular subject we're going to discuss, or it will be a random, like whatever way we can contribute? That's how it will go.
When you get on your room, all right, the first thing is the official language of this group is English. So please, if you do not speak fluent or fluent enough English, there will be other fractal opportunities for you, but that is one of the requirements for this fractal. That's really for the benefit of all the other people, because it's hard to reach consensus with people you can't understand in such a short time frame, and you don't know who you're going to be grouped with. So that's one requirement. Otherwise, you're not trying to rank. You're just trying to rank the people in your group based on what they've done that you value, what they've done for the group that you value. So if you think they're adding value to the cause of fractally, then they should be ranked higher. The things you can talk about are things you'd like to see other people do to add value to fractally and to spread fractal governance. But you should not value people based on their promises. You should only value what people have actually done already. And so everyone's aware the business model of my company that's creating all this software is to ask the community to reach consensus on how much respect we should have for our contributions in organizing and building the software. And so if no one respects us, then we won't have much budget, and that will be a challenge. So please keep that in mind, as sometimes I guess there may be a tendency to not promote company members of the company behind it, but we're just peers like everyone else. So please don't treat us differently just because we're creating the system.
Got it.
All right. All right. I'm going to create the breakout rooms. Pardon me if there's any bugs. So there are, let's see, 45, nope, 8. All right. So there's going to be 8 breakout rooms with 5 to 6 participants per room. All right, and this is going to be done randomly by Zoom. So good luck with whoever's in your group, and I will. These breakout rooms are going to last no more than 1 hour. Please, last week when we did this, we were able to get through and reach consensus in about 15 minutes after everyone had done their introduction, and their introductions only took about 15 minutes to do. So it actually doesn't necessarily take the full hour, but that's going to be the upper limit. When you're done, I'll give a warning that we're coming back to the main chat, and I'll pull you all back. Once again, this is my first time running a Zoom call like this, so we'll see what happens.
Quick question, Dan. If we finish early, should we return to the main chat?
Yeah, if you have the ability to return to the main chat, just return to the main chat, and no need to hang out in your group.
Thanks.
All right, and go. All right, 8 rooms, and open all rooms.
Oh no, I'm in Rob's room. Gross.
Hey, everybody.
Hey
Good
everyone,
morning, everyone.
good to see you all.
Adam, we're not co-founders, we're peers here, okay? No collusion. Is there supposed to be 6 in the group?
You
Yeah,
said
there should
5
be.
or 6.
Okay, cool. This might be all of us then.
Yeah, I imagine that probably everybody joined who is going to join already because it popped up with that like simple pop-up. So,
Dan, you were in the first one, weren't you?
yes,
First, fractally. Sweet.
yeah, I was in the first one and it was super fun. It was super exciting. And then I've also been working on it a lot over the past week, trying to help people, understand it and sharing what the experience was like. I was talking on the EOS Fireside Chat for a while about it. Yeah, it was really cool.
Sweet. Are you working
Yeah,
with fractally or more of an enthusiast?
more of an enthusiast. I've been working like pretty close with the team because I joined the Genesis group early, and so I've been just contributing as much as I can. But there's no like official relationship or anything. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and also Rob and Adam too. I want to say that I've been following your work with EOS Detroit and following Facings a bit too. And I listened to your talks on with the Eden election a few months ago. So yeah, thanks so much for all the great work, and it's been super cool following.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that.
Thank you. We're the little BP that could.
Yeah, you guys have done a lot.
Hey, and it's really about incentive alignment, right? And getting people together, which is why I'm personally super excited about fractal governance, because I just see it as an evolution of the layer that allows more people to participate together. It's not easy to start a BP, and that's of course the tool we had a few years ago to start to fund some things, but I just really love to see this direction unfolding. But enough
Yeah,
about me. Dan, do you want to explain? I don't know if anyone else was on the first call, but maybe you could explain how you guys ran your first breakout, and we can perhaps follow that.
Yeah, sure. So, and feel free to ask me any questions or jump in at any point if there's anything that's not clear. But just to give a high-level overview, basically, we met and then we each had approximately 5 minutes to share what we've been doing over the past week. We also kind of did some broader introductions about what we've been doing for longer because we were getting to know each other a bit, but mostly focusing on the past week and focusing on what we did to basically help the fractal community, like Dan was talking about. And then after the 5 minute 5 minute summaries, then we started to come to consensus or the consensus process. At first, we used like a spreadsheet and we were doing with numbers, but then we decided to do it where we use like a process of elimination kind of mechanism or kind of workflow or strategy where we basically said like, okay, well, Dan Larimer, he was in my group, so he did awesome work. So we all agreed he's number one. And then we went to, okay, well, who's number two? And then after that, we went to who's number three and so forth. And that seemed to work very well.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and it probably makes a lot of sense for everyone to do a quick intro too, just for those of us who haven't met. Awesome. Well, do you want to take us away, Dan?
Well, yeah, I also made a bit of a presentation that'll take like 5 minutes or so to go through. So maybe it's best if other people introduce themselves first.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm Rob. Good to meet you, Matt, Jake, Usul, Dan, Adam. I know you. And I've been working in blockchain for 8 years, background in software engineering, co-founded an EOS BP. We've helped start a number of the networks like Telos and Wax. And currently I work full-time on a product that's building an abstraction layer for NFT publishing on EOS called Facings. Well, EOS.io specifically. And, you know, super interested in fractal governance, followed the Eden experiment, still an Eden member. And yeah, so backgrounds in technology, and I've always enjoyed digging into how we can use these tools around blockchain and DAOs to impact the world in a positive way. So we've been more in the weeds the past few years, you know, but things are starting to flourish. So I see this as a great step forward for bringing more people in and giving them a way to contribute. And I'll cede the floor.
I'll introduce myself.
No,
oh, go ahead.
Go
please.
ahead. Yeah. Okay. This will be quick. I'll make it quick. I'm Jake. Hi, everyone. I actually just heard about this group yesterday, and I'm a law student at ASU University. And last year I took like a blockchain course, and so I'm actually very new to blockchain and don't really have any sort of like technical background, but it's really exciting, and so I'm just here to like learn and find out and learn about what this fractal governance is like. So really interested to learn more about it.
How did you hear about this?
It was actually my dad, Jay, he got involved with the Eden community a little while ago, and then he's been following Dan Larimer. And so he introduced me to it, and then he invited me to the group. So it's real interesting.
I can see the resemblance.
Yeah, I just met with your dad during the last meeting last week, and we were in the same room. So that's really cool, and welcome too. It's great to see you here.
Thanks.
So my name is Matt Langston. I am new to all of this too, Jake. So I am a physicist and a systems software engineer. I came to learn about Dan Larimer through Mike Maloney, who Dan did several interviews with. So I've known of Dan and More Equal Animals for the last year and a half. I was in as soon as I saw those interviews, immediately got the book. I've read the book now twice. And can't tell you how excited I am that there are people who want to instantiate and realize this promise. Like if we can make this work, it would change the world. I believe that. That's the only reason I'm here, is to try to because I now believe that individuals can come together, maybe, if we can make this work and actually improve things. Yeah, so that's who I am, and I'll pass it off to the next person.
Awesome. Great to have you here, Matt. Yusel, I think that makes you well, there's Adam too, but. Hi, Dan. I see you popped in.
Just giving
Dan.
Rob, you have to record.
Okay. I'll record it.
Recording in progress.
All right. I'm going to go back to my group now. Thank you guys very much.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
wonder if he's here.
Adam, I guess you could do it while Yusil's working out his tech, perhaps.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm Adam Zintarski. I co-founded EOS Detroit with Rob, came from traditional financial media before this and got really disillusioned because we all know it's definitely a rigged game. And so, I'm really interested in this because I've participated in a lot of governance exercises before with EOS and Telos and some of these other EOS.io networks. And I'm really excited to see potentially how we could use this type of governance and like local DAOs here in Detroit. We're thinking about starting one through our nonprofit that we helped co-found, and so this could be potentially a candidate for that.
Cool, thanks, Adam. Hey, Yusil, you're muted. Can you hear us? Maybe he's having some technology issues.
Okay. Well, yeah, thanks for the introduction, Adam and Matt, and those both sound really interesting, and Jake and Rob, of course, too. And I hope you still can get your audio and video working. But yeah, that stuff sounds super exciting. So yeah, thanks for attending and introducing yourself. And I'm very interested to learn more about all these projects, and I love all the enthusiasm and like the excitement to benefit the uh, to to benefit communities and empower communities and help the world and stuff. It's awesome to hear.
Yeah, agreed, Dan. Did you say you had like so would you say next we do the 5, everyone talks about what they did for 5 minutes over like the last 7 days? Is that the best way to do it?
Yeah, I think basically, I mean, if there's something you did 2 weeks ago that's very relevant, then I mean, feel free to mention as well. But I think generally speaking, that's probably a good way to do it.
Cool. Will you lead us off?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Unless somebody wants to go first, then I'd be happy to let anybody else do it as well. But I'd be happy to go first too.
I can go first just to get myself out of the way because I haven't done that much, so might as well just get me out of the way first. And I participated in the first Eden election, and that's the only, I guess, relative experience that I have with this sort of stuff.
All right, cool. Dan, go for it.
Oh, okay, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, so I was up late last night because I got inspired to make a presentation, make it like look cool and stuff like that. So can you allow me to share my screen, Rob?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
okay,
Let me do that.
okay, cool.
I
Thanks.
think I know how to do that.
It should be right near the
Or
bottom of the screen.
oh, if I host, it doesn't let me do it. It says host disabled participant screen sharing. So that's good feedback for. I'm going to take a screenshot of that because everyone in the breakout should have that ability, ideally.
Okay.
So
I
yeah, I guess
wonder.
we're kind of unable to do that today.
Okay, that's a little bit of a bummer because I was working on this and I think it came out pretty cool. I wonder if I can like do some
Can you
fancy
link it to us?
video routing. I maybe I could
Yeah,
do
you might
that.
be able to. Looks like you have the
Yeah,
technology around you.
yeah, I have lots of video technology, video production technology often that often overwhelms me with complexity. But I'll try. Maybe if anybody else wants to go first, and I'll listen. While I'll also see if I can get it set up. That might be helpful.
I can go. I think mine will be quick, like Adam's. Because I'm new, I'm trying to figure out how to fit in. So what did I do in the past 7 days? It was mainly an endeavor of education. So rereading the white paper now, I'm on my 3rd time through. So I think just educating myself will eventually help me make practical, meaningful contributions. But at least allow me to have discussions with people, informed discussions with people. My background is in high performance C++ simulators to simulate things. That's what my current day job is. And I tried to find my way. I tried to find people in Fractally after I joined Go Fractally. They were interested in simulators. I thought to myself, what better way to learn more about Fractally than to simulate fractal governance and to see how it works and where it falls down, and are the requirements in the white paper, how do they map to my experiments. I could not get traction. I tried to sort of find a community of people who were interested, and the feedback I got was, well, join Saturday's Zoom meeting. So I don't have a simulator. I'm just interested in working on one, and that's it for my my contributions.
It sounds really interesting, Matt. Simulating it. So looking forward to seeing that take root eventually. Mine will be quick. So I read the white paper today, actually. So I'm pretty late to the game on that. And then I invited 3 people, I think. Probably about 3 people into the app, the community app, and that's about it. So
Yeah, I just learned about the existence of fractals in the community yesterday, and I did invite my roommate to sign up too and to come to this meeting, but I don't think he showed up, and I don't know that he's made anything either. But yeah, I haven't even read the white paper yet.
it's all good. It's brand new.
I did look at it though. I saw that it exists, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, Dan, how's it looking on your side?
Well, I messaged Dan Larimer in the chat, and he said that he's not able to share this screen because it's like too complicated or something.
Still
But
working through tech, probably.
yeah, he said next week that we can make that happen.
Oh, Dan, if you're talking to us, you're muted.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you, Rob, for letting me know. I didn't realize that. Yeah,
no problem.
So I tried texting Dan Larimer. I sent him a message in the Genesis Fractally group, and I asked if he could enable it. And he said that he can't easily do that right now, but he can do it next week. So that's good for the future. And then the presentation is in Keynote, which is like PowerPoint, and I started just exporting it, or I did export it as a PDF file. And then I think I can upload it to Telegram so everybody can see it. I guess I don't know if everybody's in the Genesis Fractally group. I should share it there, or I can share it with just us 6 in a new group or something like that. Do you think that something like that might be helpful?
Fractally group, or is there another?
There's 2 different groups. So there's Fractally and there's Genesis Fractally group. The Fractally group is much bigger. It has like 500 people or 600 people, 700 people, and the Genesis Fractally group has like 88 people. So I can send, and so I can post in either one, I guess, or I can send a link to the Genesis Fractally group in this chat if you want it, or I guess do whatever you think is best.
Helpful. Then those of us can join the sort of less noisy group, and you can share it there.
Okay. Yeah, it is a good group to be in. So I will first start sharing it because it is taking a little while to load because it's like, I don't know, set like 170 megabytes, something like that, because it has a bunch of photos in there.
While you're uploading it, Dan, I'm wondering, is it possible to also upload it to the Go Fractally site? I don't know if we're set up to host documents there yet or not. But that would be a great place to get visibility for what you did.
To what, like, you mean like Go, Go Fractally, the one that Josh was set up, like genesis.gofractally.com?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can upload it there. I think that I can try doing that after. If you're on Telegram, that might be easiest because I know that I can upload PDF files pretty easily to Telegram.
Yep.
Does that work for you?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I'll get the link. I started sharing it in the Genesis group, and it's like a kind of private group. So I'll just take a couple seconds to just get the link because being a private group, it makes it a little bit more difficult to get it, but I just have to find it.
So while Dan is uploading, I found it interesting. I mean, I just learned something from you, Dan, that the Go Fractally is just one of many avenues of communication among all of us. I thought it was a sort of a rallying point, but maybe that's not the case. I do have a Telegram account, but I have not participated in anything practically on Telegram. So when you send that link, I'll learn about this new group since I'm sort of new to the whole thing.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, sounds good. Telegram, it's a big means of communication for the Fractally community and also the EOS community, where a lot of the Fractally community comes from. And so I just sent a link. It's, I think, in the public chat, so everybody should be able to see it if you just click the chat button. So you should be able to join it there. And then, yeah, I have the other window open so I can see if I can upload it quickly. Although I don't know how well it'll work. I would love for you to be able to see it as well if possible, but I suppose you could also see it later if it won't work out easily.
Are you Dog Man?
Yes.
Cool. I see.
Okay. I just shared it in the group, and I feel a little bit exposed planning to like kind of breeze through it in case I made, spelling errors or forgot anything. I haven't had a chance to look it over or anything yet, but you can feel free to open it up and check it, and then let me know once it's open. I don't know, I guess kind of just guide you through it or just talk about it while we look at it or something, I guess.
Yeah, go for it. I opened it. I'm not sure if anyone else is in there yet, though, so we can wait.
I'm downloading it now, and I've got about 30% of it downloaded. But you can go ahead. I'll have it open, probably within a minute.
Okay. Sorry, I've been a bit distracted as I've been trying to, figure out the technology stuff. But has everybody gone with the introduction, or does anybody else want to go first? Or
I think it's back to you. We all did our intros and then talked about what we did, and other than you, Sil. So it's all on you.
okay, cool. That sounds good. So yeah, I'll start going now. Yeah, so I'll just give you a very brief overview because I suppose we've also been spending quite a bit of time just figuring stuff out, and also it should be short. I made this, and it's got like 60 slides last night because I've been working on, I've been working on just helping people understand fractally and learning about fractally. I've been super excited about fractally a lot over the past week and months and long time. So I was very inspired to do it a lot, and I'll just give you a very high level overview. So my name is Dan Singjoy. And like the question is like, what am I doing to promote the adoption of fractal governance? Because that's something that Dan Larimer stated as a goal for this this meeting. So there's a table of contents, which is like a quick intro, and then have been learning practically how I propose that consensus workflow that we talked about before about process of elimination. I made some design pictures for FFF, which is short for an acronym for First Fractally Fractal that we had last week, or potentially this. We're thinking about naming it that. I made some social media posts and I shared with a bunch of friends. I participated in the EOS Fireside chat and talked about Fractally quite a bit. And I've also been building Eden Creators, Ecos, and Fractal forums, which are quite related to fractal governance and Fractally. And I also replied to Helios, the venture capital company, about growing Fractally. They messaged me this week, and I also made this presentation. So that's like the brief table of contents. I'm a musician, a creator, and an entrepreneur working to make the best experience possible. I'm founder of Dogman Labs and Eden Creators and PlayTubes Global and many other fractals that'll come soon. And I also have a YouTube channel called Dance Party where I make music and do funny videos and all sorts of fun things. I do a lot of live streams. I have my Eden profile over here, and then there's a link to Dogman Labs /writing where you can learn a bit more about Eden Creators and Fractal Forums and Ecos and other things. Link to my YouTube channel, Dance.Party. A picture of PlayTubes Global, which is intended to be kind of like a creative DAO of DAOs or DAC of DACs. For the past 4 years, I've been building all sorts of like roots and seeds of creative communities for music and tools and funny videos and stuff like that, that I'm planning to make a bunch of fractals to help empower these communities and like open source a bunch of work that I've been doing for a while. Over the past week, I've been learning a lot about Fractally, just listening to everything, reading everything, writing about everything constantly, and rewinding a lot. I mentioned last week, I was actually the one who made the proposal to do it one by process of elimination. So that's one thing that I contributed last week to help this process work better. And I mentioned also designing the FFF. I shared some pictures. Some people in the chats liked it. It was just draft pictures. And we probably won't use the name FFF, but I can edit them and make them look better at another time. And then I made the social media posts. I put a lot of work into just making the posts as helpful as possible. I actually, by the way, I'm sorry, I meant to start up a stopwatch when I first started so I could time myself in 5 minutes, but I forgot. So please feel free to let me know if I'm rambling too much. I'll try to go quick. Yeah, so I shared the social media posts and I tried to make them really cool, and they got a lot of positive reaction. There's a lot of people who liked it, a lot of people who saw it and retweeted and liked it and commented and asked me to join and stuff. So I was just trying to be as helpful as I could there. Then I participated in the epic 7-hour EOS Fireside chat this week. I would recommend listening to it, where I spoke quite a bit. I spoke with many leaders in the EOS community trying to help people understand the benefits of Fractally and how EOS and Fractally can work together. There's a lot of people who really enjoyed it and had really positive responses. So in the presentation, I shared some of the pictures of the positive responses and the videos. There's also links to all these things I could share too. And Eden Creators, I mentioned, I've been building that for just about the past year since I heard about Eden for the first time, to be a fractal of fractals or an Eden of Edens, to help organize all the video content and like text content that we have, because we have so much great content. And I wanted to just help empower the community to like make great videos and edit and stuff like that. So for the past week, I've been saving lots of screenshots and timestamps that I'll open source so everybody can use that to edit better videos and stuff like that. And also fractal tutorials with Eden Creators, help people learn how to use Fractal. That's something that Eden Creators can do and empower creators. Ecos started out as Eden Creators OS. It was kind of similar to Fractally, but it can work alongside Fractally in a lot of ways to help empower communities and help people understand Fractally. So I've also been continuing to add ideas to that and work on that. And fractal forums for the past month, I've been working to work with an idea that was inspired by Chuck McDonald about using the fractally process along with consortium, which is an app on EOS, to vote on topics, and then we can do the fractal process to decide, who has the best idea about X or who has the best idea about Y. So I've still been working on that along, and then just this morning, I responded to a message from Fractally, or no, from Helios, where they asked me about my experience with Fractally. So I also did a very thoughtful thread that I spent a while making art for and just trying to write it all out perfectly to be helpful over the past week. And so I shared that this morning, and I shared it on a bunch of Telegram groups to try to grow visibility for Fractally and so forth. And then finally, I made this presentation. As I said, I worked quite a bit to just try to make this presentation to help everybody understand how fractal governance can be super helpful for everyone, and just put a lot of care and love into it, and trying to lead by example to help inspire people to do a lot of help work to help their communities and help fractal governance. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. I hope that made sense. It's awesome to be here. And it's awesome to hear from everybody. And looking forward to learning more and working together, more stuff. Yeah, and please feel free to ask any questions.
Great initiative.
Thank you.
That visibility is super important, especially while this is a young idea. There's way too much going on, so it's super easy to miss things. So thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah, I like the very impressive. I liked it. I've just gone through your slides on slide 9. You and I watched several of the same resources. I liked how you kind of broke out the education piece for you. I appreciated that. Yeah, the chief delegates meeting 19 and 20, those were very informative. I like that you put those there. The Bytewire news interviews with Dan, those were great. Crypto Dunker, I just learned about him last week. That interview with Dan was great. So really not like very nice resources in this. I'm glad you posted this to the Telegram group so more people can socialize your slide deck.
Cool. No,
yeah, I think it's clear that you're number one.
Yeah. Oh.
We have 1 minute.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So
Dan
Dan's
wins.
number 1. This is my proposal. Matt's number 2.
Okay.
Dan's number 1. Matt's number 2. And then the rest of us, whatever, randomize.
Right. Rob, Adam, me. So, and I think 6 is the best, right? So, Dan 6, Matt 5, Rob.
Recording in progress.
Someone probably in charge. I don't know why we got pulled out. We had half hour left, I thought.
Yeah, we had 30 minutes left, so
we have started to discuss how we're going to rank.
Yeah, well, that's exactly where we were too. Oh no!
Any group here got to actually reach consensus?
So Dan was in our group. Dan was in our group. We reached consensus. Dan pulled you all back in when we were done.
Don't worry, ladies.
You joking. Okay, where is he? Oh, he's in the middle.
I just got to say that, Dan. That's so disrespectful. No, just kidding.
You're muted, Dan.
Patrick, can you put it on the chat?
I changed my vote in our room 8.
Based on the Zoom video,
room 4.
Sorry, guys. Based on the Zoom video tutorial of how this worked, I thought I had the option of how much time I was going to give everyone else before they had to come back to it. It only gave you 1 minute to come back, and I thought I was going to have an opportunity to configure it. So that was a user interface snafu with Zoom, lesson learned on my part. So I apologize. I'm going to attempt to send you back to the same breakout rooms if anyone wants to continue. How many? Let's see here.
Yeah, we needed more time, Dan. My group did.
Yeah, I think our group did too.
Room 6 found consensus.
Okay, so when I tried to I recreate the rooms, it should hopefully
Dan, while we're here, we had a super quick question.
Yep.
Is number 1 the highest rank, or is number 6 the highest rank?
Rank starts from 1 and it goes up to 30 if you have 7,000 members.
Okay, gotcha. So number 1 would be the most respected.
The less.
No, number 1 is the
Right.
least
Number 6 is the one who earns the most respect. Number 1 is the one who earns the least. We are avoiding the least respected member.
Yes.
Got you. Okay, so number 6 is the most respected.
We're not respecting people, we're respecting contributions.
Yeah, not people.
That's
Very good.
definitely focus on the contributions and not make it personal. I know that it's an easy thing to lose sight of, but we're going to keep doing that. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to recreate the. I'm going to allow participants to choose room when I recreate the room. So if you need to continue to reach consensus, go ahead. And I apologize for any chaos for those of you who couldn't reach consensus because I pulled you out too soon. So apparently I can only set the countdown for up to 2 minutes when I'm leaving a breakout room. When I auto close breakout rooms after 30 minutes. Or we always only give 20 minutes to reach consensus. The past 2 weeks have found that consensus was able to go pretty fast if you focus on just what you've been doing in recent weeks. All right, so let's try to open all rooms and see what happens.
Or we could just let them finish quickly as in front of the rest of us and we just mute ourselves to watch the voting.
That would take even longer.
Just a short word. We had a joint breakout room in the down corner, actually. If you click on more, should we try it out and see if we can find our friends? Or
Yeah.
So some of us might be disappearing. That means we're in a breakout room somewhere.
Yeah, along the bottom, I see a breakout room. You click that, and then you can select which room you want to join.
All right. We were in room 4, the guys who recognize me.
Room 4, let's go.
All right. Here we go.
Anyone who already reached consensus, you can stay here.
Recording in progress.
There's Dan and
Okay,
Rob.
nice. That was a crazy
everybody.
surprise with the 1 minute. Hey.
So the way this would work, I was thinking about it differently, or the reverse. So if we believe Dan had the most contributions, he'd be 6, number 6, not number 1. I think. That's what I just heard in the room, and then it looks like that's also what the white paper says under respect distribution.
I think that's right. That's what the white
highest.
paper says. Yeah.
Got it. Cool. Good to know. And the thing that confused me is further down in the white paper, there's a table that's inverted. So it shows rank 1 earning the most. And that's under rank order liquidity subsidies. So that's in the market maker section. So that might be a good piece of feedback for the team, so we're not getting confused.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can do the process of elimination now that we have a little time. But I think it's clear, at least to me, that Dan did the most for fractally.
I agree.
Agreed. Yep, agreed.
And I'd say,
Thank you.
Matt, you probably did the next most just based on what I heard.
I was thinking
You're most
either
engaged.
I was thinking either Matt or Rob, so I vote for Matt too. Dan, then Matt.
I agree with that as well.
Cool. And
Dan, Matt, then Rob.
I'll take it.
Then unless there's any other objections. And then Adam and me. Sounds good to me.
I guess
Oh, and Yusel.
USAL would be the number one because we haven't heard anything. But
Yeah, I don't know if Yusel's done. Yeah.
Yep, we'll just assume then, and hopefully they will get it sorted for next time.
Can someone like type out the rank in chat just so I can copy it to like post it again?
Sure. So we've got rank 6, Dancing Joy. I think I can. For some reason, I don't know why it's not.
It enters.
Yeah, it's. Oh, there we go.
Maybe
it's
shift enter.
Control enter.
Okay.
All right, I got this.
Well, was there something Dan was saying? I don't know if that was for now, but he was saying like to put your either Hive or EOS account name and like link that. Was that just for the future that he was saying that?
He mentioned we didn't have to do that this call. So
okay.
Probably by next call, maybe they would like that.
Yeah, that's a good call to action. I do not have a Hive account, so I'll have to figure that out within the next week. I do have an EOS account.
Same.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, it should be fairly straightforward the way Hive works. It'll give you a password that you can't do a password reset flow, so it's kind of like a key, similar to your EOS key. So as long as you have a good way for saving that and keeping it secure, then you'll be good. And then there's a way you can like use a more restricted key for just posting. So if you have funds in your Hive account, you could put the posting key on your phone. You wouldn't have to worry about having that money stolen. Let's see. Jake Taylor, almost done here, guys. And then rank 1. I'm gonna note that USL didn't participate because I'm not sure if that actually has a different connotation in the system. And nothing against you, USL. I'm sure you're great, but let's see.
Yeah, I'm sorry we didn't get to hear from you, Yusel. I guess we know that you can hear us because you were able to rejoin our room. So that took some proactive action on your part. But unfortunately, your audio and video, we don't have.
Mm-hmm. And if it's a language thing, one thing I was thinking when Dan was talking about that was, I know a lot of folks can type English, but they can't speak it. So making use of the chat in that sort of circumstance could be a good middle ground. But just something that popped into my mind. I think I got that right, guys. Can you double check? Yeah, no English. Gotcha, USL. Okay, well, that's
I'm not
fine.
sure if that means no or no. It would mean two different things depending on which no it is.
I'm gonna guess, yeah, that he doesn't speak English. Cool.
Okay.
Well, okay. Maybe we don't have to say no participation because you showed signs of life. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, you so glad to hear you're able to hear us.
So cool. Welcome from Turkey. I heard from Jesse that there's a really big ESPs community in Turkey. So yeah, that sounds cool, and I hope it's going well there. And thanks for all the work with ESPs. Do we need to each copy the rank or is that just a future thing too, that we each had to do it, or is it just okay that just Rob did it, or do we each need to like copy and paste it somewhere?
We're going to need to send that to the main group chat so that we all vote, and then that'll be like the reaching consensus that like we all submit the same message or the same ranking.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jake.
I had a quick question for you guys. Maybe you already know. I'm reading the white paper right now. So for round 2, how many members from round 1 move to round 2?
All the people who get rank 6 move on to the next round.
Gotcha. So it's the top rank. Gotcha.
Top rank moves on.
That makes sense. Okay, cool.
So now Dan will be representing basically the respect that Dan earns in round 2 indirectly benefits us, all of us. The more respect he gets, so the more we can support him, or in general, that's we've sort of delegated to him the group's respect to go
That's
and do
cool.
good in the world.
I see. So yeah, there's like that sort of he's like it's analogous to Eden in some respects, but not the same semantically.
Actually, I misspoke. This is the consensus meeting, so we all so Dan's 6 of respect, he could take it back to his team. Now I don't know if Dan has a team yet or not. I don't have a team, but basically we're representing our teams, and we're all like, I'm a team of 1 right now. I don't have a team that I can give my respect back to or to represent our efforts. But I think that's the idea from the white paper, is that if I can build a team, I can then bring it to our consensus to the consensus meeting and demonstrate more than just what Matt could do, but what did Matt and his team do.
I like that. I like that the team concept is built in. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
sounds...
does that mean we should return? Oh, sorry, Dan.
Oh, I was going to add, that sounds cool. And it seems like Matt, it seems like you've thought this. It seems like you've thought about this quite a bit. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. And it also is kind of like the Eden process, I suppose, in that like in the Eden process, it was like explicit that the delegates were representing the previous groups. And I'm not sure if it's as explicitly defined in Fractally, but the same dynamic is still definitely there, because like as you're choosing, that can definitely be a part that is a relevant factor for who you choose, and for people to say why. Like, I guess it's kind of for what work you did, so it's kind of representation. But I don't know, it's interesting to explore. And yeah, I guess if I am in any way a delegate, then I'm happy to hear if there's anything that you guys want me to, I don't know, bring forward or help spread, or if there's anything I do to help, both as some delegate or just in general. It's been great meeting you all, and if there's anything I do to help, please let me know.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Good to meet you guys, and looking forward to seeing where we can take this.
Yeah, definitely.
Good to meet you all.
Hi, Luna.
Yeah, I think she's begging for a walk right now. So it sounds like.
All right. Well, how should we return to the main?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All right. See you guys back there.
Okay, cool. See you guys. Thanks again.
Once I figure out how to do that.
Yeah, how do you go back to the main room?
Oh, bottom right, leave room.
Oh, okay.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Yeah,
if you're in a team, if you're in a team and you couldn't attend, could you have a team member who can talk on your behalf?
Yes. Yes. So when you're on a team, every member of the team is represented in their own work and their team's work. And then the team gets the budget, and then the team can reach consensus on how to divide it among them. So if you have a team, now obviously a team wants all their members to attend, because if your members aren't attending, your team's not getting income. But if you have someone that's really contributing a lot to the team could say, well, you don't have to attend the weekly meetings, but we're still going to give you something. Or you only have to attend a weekly meeting once a month, and the rest of the time, the team will take care of you. So there's options there. But the reason it all happens at one time is to prevent the political party formation, and to provide some consistency so that people can plan their schedule around it. Otherwise, they won't be able to plan their schedule and have even worse attendance.
I had a question, Dan, about the teams. So the white paper explains that there's compensation for a team, but what about the fractal nature of teams? So like when a team wants to grow beyond 12 and it becomes a team of teams, is there a way for that compensation to be guaranteed? Because the way that the compensation happens now, the team collects additional matching for the team, but once it gets to a team of teams, then I don't think that that's necessarily happening.
There's no team of teams. So if a team gets to size 12 and they want to invite more people, then they have to go through a cell division and go back to 2 teams of 6. And then they can start adding members, which having a team agree to split from 1 team to 2 teams without having to have a time delay might be a reasonable thing, assuming it's got 12 members, it can split into 2 teams of 6 by voluntary. That's a really good consideration for growing teams. All right, I think.
How quickly will other language groups be added?
Well, once we've figured out this process that we're doing here today, some tutorials are put together, and Josh was working on it, and some others, they can start meeting as soon as the content gets translated, and they can start recording it, and they can start reaching consensus. This is a people process more than it is a technology process. Obviously, the more critical mass we can have in one, the greater the value there is in economies of scale and the token and everything that will be created. So in case you guys missed it, there is the fractal contributor agreement. Please review that this week. Create a Hive account this week if you haven't already created a Hive account, and we will give you instructions on how to agree to the contributor agreement in the subsequent next week. But yeah, there will be a token, and the points that we are working toward will be for real, and will be tracked on a blockchain, and will eventually be transferable and all that other stuff. Obviously, it's an error-prone process in these early days until we really streamline the gathering of the information. So there might be errors in the data, and don't get upset or angry if for whatever reason there's a data collection error that we couldn't verify. But we will do our best to try to recognize. I can't thank you guys enough for the interest you all have shown in the idea and the concept of fractally. I think that this community has a chance to grow in an extremely viral nature. We got 50-some people here today, and that is 2 weeks after the idea. any feedback? How did you guys think the process worked? Is this a process that you could see continuing?
It was good for you, Dan, messing the Zoom up. No, it's very good. I really enjoyed it. I think it's going to work well. I think the only thing I think as a potential negative is obviously people are still very focused on EOS, and we can't. I suppose we've got to be thinking more fractally rather than EOS only. But other than that,
yeah,
it's works well.
We all have an interest in EOS, right? A lot of us are from the EOS community. Yeah, it's just a matter of identifying specifically what you're doing for fractally to earn the respect of this community instead of others. But I think people will get in the rhythm of differentiating the work they're doing specifically for EOS versus specifically for fractally. And there is some overlap. Like if you're working to get fractally on EOS, that's overlap, and that's where the mutual respect comes in. So.
We had Dan, in my meeting, we one of our members created a nice presentation, and we couldn't figure out how to share it over Zoom. So that's a piece of feedback for you. We scrambled and transmitted it to everyone over Telegram, so we were able to self-serve. But it'd be nice if we could, share screen during these breakout sessions.
Yeah, I intentionally didn't enable share screening because I didn't want this to be a pitch deck kind of situation. If you have to share a screen and hand off and all that other stuff, I think it's going to make things take longer, and the goal is to be super efficient. So all right, I'm going to close all breakout rooms. Everyone's got 2 minutes to.
So Dan, one feedback. So it's a brilliant idea. Like overall, like it's a fantastic experience. I was there in the Eden as well. But what I felt like, until unless we are getting into the practical problem and resolving through this kind of a process, then only it will be actual implementation will start, and common people will come to the board, and they will also start contributing. I mean to say, like, if you can take an example of anything like in the practical world we are facing, like building a company, building a community, anything as such. So if you can attract those people, probably we can more reach to the people, like, people can come and help us to the dream what we are thinking.
Yep, this is the early adopter group. We're pioneers in the process. Our goal is to get the process so easy to repeat that people don't have to think about the process. They just show up and focus on whatever their actual cause is, whether it's feeding the hungry or building roads or getting mesh network or open source software or whatever their cause is. They'll be able to focus on that instead of the process. Right now, our cause is to get the process ironed out, and we're all doing that. So I have
a really question, Dan. First of all, of course, it's an honor to be part of your, this social experiment and participant on your ideas early on. So thank you very much for that. Okay, so I want to relate a bit to the human aspect of the rating process. And I raised this subject on the chat earlier on, so I'm not going to delve too deep into it. But there's kind of a divide between those being picked last, being, in my view, kind of maybe demotivated to continue to participate, and others say, hey, maybe they're going to feel motivated to do more for next time, right? So how do you drive that human sentiment for on those very short meetings, from being picked in the last spots and being demoralized or demotivated from keeping on being involved or and keeping on participating, to actually, as you said, being motivated to do more for next time? I know it's very personal, but maybe you have some insight on how to turn it more into that kind of positive positive negative feedback loop side.
It's a quirk of human nature that we can all be extremely happy with $100,000 a year, but if someone next to us is making $1 million a year, all of a sudden we're not so happy anymore. And that's just our monkey brain impacts things. And if we try to make everyone equal, then everyone's demotivated. So there are people that can say, hey, this is the process, and dive in. And if you're honest with yourself, you can actually say, hey, I agree, these people did more than me. And you agree to the process, and then you're not offended because a decision has to be made. And so it's not that you are worthless or anything. It's not even about you. It's just your contributions were ranked lower than other people's this week, and next week you can do better. One of the things that I didn't put it in the white paper, but is under consideration is basically a raffle where every single week one person gets randomly selected to basically be the big winner of effectively 1 unit of respect per participant. So if we had 50 people today, one person would get 50 respect tokens at random. So you always have hope that you might be that person, even if maybe you didn't contribute as much, but it's distributed over time. So you never know who you're going to be ranked with, right? You might be put in with like the top contributors, right? Maybe everyone on the team is, everyone in your group's all on the same team. They all know each other, and so you get put on the bottom. All right, you got to sample over time and realize that no single week's meeting actually is indicative. But if you consistently find yourself at the bottom week after week after week, that's probably a sign that you're not doing things that are valued by the community as a whole, and maybe you should try to do things that are more valued and up your game. While one group might be biased, it's unlikely that you're going to find 10 groups in a row, right, that are going to be biased against you in particular. So
I'd like to add on to that idea, Dan, is that if you go into a meeting and just say, I think I contributed as a top contributor for the last week, because maybe I was on vacation, I don't want to be a top contributor, and then raffle off those people that are interested in being the top contributor. I think that would be a little variation on what you just said.
Interesting. Yeah. Andrew, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I just had a thought a few days ago about how to take care of bad actors without literally kicking them out of the whole thing. And I was thinking it might be interesting to have like a negative token, like an NFT that you could attach to someone's account that would, or that you could, pardon?
A disrespect token?
Yeah, exactly.
The shame token, Dan. It actually decreases your respect over time. It dilutes the respect until you're owing respect to everyone.
I created a poop token for that purpose.
Generally speaking, I like to stay on the positive side of things. And one thing I do want to mention, it's not just ranking the past week, it's ranking the lifetime contributions versus lifetime respect earned, biased toward more recent activities. Obviously, you can't recount the same thing you did 2 years ago over and over every week and expect to do anything. But so if you're on vacation for 1 week, that's okay. Or if a group you did a whole lot this week, but your group didn't recognize it, maybe next week it can be recognized for the past 2 weeks to kind of balance out. The purpose is to balance the scales, to adjust everyone's respects, that everyone feels more like things are more fair, and there's consensus that we're closer to fair than we were when we started. That's kind of the meta game there. Having disrespect, not so good. Although there is a need for decentralized punishment and spite. If you read the book Blueprint, The Evolutionary Basis of a Good Society, I've been exploring ideas like that, but because sometimes having a full court system or justice system is just not as effective. A little bit of like a slap, hey, don't do that, can correct people. The purpose of it is to bring people back into alignment, not to drive them away. And so I will be exploring some of those things. Obviously, in the video I produced, I did not talk about some of the negative policing aspects that need to be there, because you don't show up for a community because of how they're going to police you and punish you for being bad. So,
but Dan, you cannot avoid those. This is the human psychology. Like it's expression method. You can't do there'll be a frustration in everybody's life in either way. So I think we cannot avoid that.
Yep. So the goal is to create the tools that allow us to express virtually what happens in real life. And if we try to prevent something that can happen in real life, you'll find some other way of being expressed. But that's some of the innovation. I want to be considerate of everyone's time here. All the breakout rooms are back. We have two options we can do here. We can have the top 6 people come together and rank themselves, or we can just skip the second round today and not go forward and just have a general discussion. With the winners of each group, does anyone want to speak up and say they want to do another round?
I'm okay with not doing another round.
Same here. I can skip another round.
Okay. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm also happy however we want to do it.
Okay. So I guess that seems like most of the people that were in the top. I was also in the top. So for the sake of simplicity this week, we will skip round 2. And as we get better at automating this, then we can do that subsequent weeks. Since we have unanimous consent, then I think there's no problem there. All right. Any other questions?
I got a question about how the process might be able to track past contributions. Like we've been talking about this idea of maybe your past contribution wasn't adequately respected according to what you're thinking, and you bring that up. So how can the process track that? One idea is maybe to see somebody's rank from last week. Because if they're saying, hey, I did this work a couple of weeks ago and I don't feel like I was adequately respected, it'd be nice to at a glance see their past week's rank.
Yeah. So the UI that we are building is going to have the video window. We're not using Zoom, so we're using another video service, and we'll have stats and profiles on everybody. You can see if there's any open disputes, how much respect they've earned, how much, what their team is. So you'll be able to see their team badges.
Awesome. Cool.
And all those things. So you'll be able to at a glance research the resume of everyone. You can see what things they've posted. You can see what things they've liked on social media. And you can just spend some time to see what has this person been up to in the community? How often have they been engaging on the blockchain, or do they just show up on the call?
So in a lot of ways, the pitch deck is the profile that you've been building over the past week and weeks.
Yes. Yep. And if there's any open disputes, those disputes will be visible, and then your team members can review those disputes as well if they want to at a glance. But you don't have to listen to everyone do it. You can just click through, or you can talk about it if anyone wants to trust but verify. Maybe some group will verify and they can ask questions about what they see. But yeah, it's going to be relatively easy to just review 6 resumes based upon their recent activity.
Dan, a question about collaboration. So I found this session, this particular Zoom call that we're on via genesis.gofractally.com. I know that there are other forums. I'd like to start if it's encouraged, I'd like to start building a team of something I'm interested in to contribute to Fractally. This will have to be a pseudo team. I don't think we have any structure for that yet. Is that right? And am I encouraged to sort of build a team?
Yes, you are encouraged to build a team. If you look at the Fractal Contributor Agreement at the bottom is a draft of how teams can work between now and when we actually have this on a blockchain. The idea is if you want to create a team, you can post a post to Hive that lists your team members. All the team members can upvote the post. If they all do, then the team is formed. You can add new members to the team, but you will not be allowed to remove any members from your team between now and when the blockchain smart contract launches, because we're just trying to minimize having to implement it twice. So yes, and you earn double the respect for forming teams. So actually, it's more than just encouraged. If you want to maximize the amount of respect you're getting out of the weekly meetings now, you do want to get on a team now. So the Fractally employees will all be on a team, and possibly 2 teams because we have more than 12 employees. So that'll be a start, but there's going to be other teams out there that can operate. So definitely be thinking about teams if you want to maximize what you're getting. And then when the chain smart contract launches, you will have a budget for your team, and you can reach consensus on how to divide that budget among the team members.
Hey, I wanted to jump in and sort of have a question as well as like a little suggestion. I've sort of been developing this idea of using ranked voting to form consensus, similar to what a lot of countries do around the world, where you say you have 10 votes, you could assign 10 to one person or 5 to one person, 4 to the next, and then 1 to the third. That's an idea I've shared and a link to a GitHub article where I talk about it, as well as an article where I talk about like implementing geotribes. So these are some ideas that I would like to ask if it's open to sort of change the consensus model. I know that we're so early, we don't have the smart contracts, but I just wanted to sort of share those ideas.
I addressed that concept specifically in the white paper. Anytime you have a scoring system, like people casting votes, whether it's rank order or approval voting or whatever, then it becomes a game. Do you vote your heart or do you vote to try to manipulate the outcome? And it doesn't really encourage consensus building, as it creates a new meta game where everyone's trying to manipulate it to win. The actual algorithm that the blockchain is going to be using is everyone will submit the consensus anonymously, encrypted, and then everyone will reveal it after everyone's committed. That actually creates proof that there was a meeting of the minds instead of anyone just being able to vote however they want, because a bot could look at who's in your group, automatically rank everything, and then the outcome is going to be the outcome. And then there's going to be services out there and people are going to buy votes, and then you don't even need to meet anymore because people have completely automated the process of consensus building to some kind of other meta scoring system. So actually forcing people to talk and reach consensus, and each group of 6 might have a different algorithm they want to use to come to their consensus. Maybe that group wants to use a voting system, but you're not going to get the same thing every week after week after week. And I'm actively discouraging, saying we're not going to discuss things. We're just going to cast our votes, and whatever the algorithm says, that's who the winner is. It's about reaching agreement, which is very different than all other forms of governance out there, which are some form of voting with automated tallying.
Igor Berlenko, you have a question?
No, I don't have a question.
All right, Dan Singjoy.
Yes, thanks, Gregory. Yeah, I had a question about visual presentations. So I was the person who Matt mentioned made a visual presentation, like a PowerPoint presentation. And I got inspired to make a presentation late last night, and I felt like it could be really helpful to show what I've been working on and show it in like an exciting way. And I love making like visual art and visual things to show people things. And I asked Dan in the chat if we could do it, and Dan said we can't do it easily now, but next week. But then Dan said that he was thinking that it might be better to have it so it's more, I guess, just straight person to person without pitch decks. And I don't think that, you know, I wasn't thinking of it as a pitch deck at all. I wasn't thinking of it as a pitch deck at all. But I think that having the ability to have, oh, I'm sorry, you want to say something?
Yeah, Alex, I think I can see what you're saying. Tell me if I'm understanding you correctly. You want to be able to show your work, and sometimes it's easier to show than to tell.
Yes.
And in that particular case, posting a link to the chat room, allowing people to read it, versus taking over the screen and breaking eye-to-eye contact. I think there's also options available if you have green screen like you have behind you, where you can present on your background if you want. So there's ways to do that. I just didn't want to lose the person-to-person contact, but having links to materials ready to go. When the final system's there, you have your whole profile page, and so you can actually have your written report of what you did this week ready to go with images and everything as a blog post if you like. So there'll be ways that you can share things visually that people can easily get to without having to scramble on Telegram and try to get the link that's being shared. Obviously, these are things that we can experiment with and see what works. Part of the other problem is Zoom might allow screen sharing really easily, but not all video solutions that we are exploring have the same robust support for screen sharing. And there's also other privacy security considerations with respect to sharing your screens on a recording session that we're just trying to protect users from. So I understand the value in being able to visually share things, and I think that we'll have to figure out what the best practices are to make that effective, given all the other considerations.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you for the feedback, Dan. And I agree, there is a lot of factors. One thing I would just like to add to that is, I mean, one or maybe a couple of quick things. So one, green screen is helpful, but a lot of people also don't have capability to do that. And even for me, it's difficult just because technology doesn't work sometimes. And then two, like I think there's a lot of value in these meetings of the recording value. People can see it later. So like normally I wouldn't have much of a reason to just like make a video and make a presentation and share it on YouTube. But because I have this kind of stage or like this opportunity to share it with people, and it's kind of like natural. Like if I was in a room with somebody and I like made some art or worked on something that was helpful, and I'd be like, hey, look at this, then I can show it and both show it to people there, and then also for the future when people watch the content later, then they can see it all there together without having, if it wasn't like a PDF, then that doesn't easily translate to like being able to share on a YouTube channel or something like that. So there is a lot of value, and I see the concerns you're talking about, and I hadn't thought about those, and I appreciate those. But it's also something that it can be super, super helpful to be able to have video or like screen sharing for a lot of purposes.
Yeah, that's really good things. I'm sure that people will create tools, and we'll explore all these different options as the time unfolds. One of the things that has been considered is allowing people to have a pre-recorded video that is submitted. So if they want to like get really concise into 2 minutes and release it on YouTube and whatever else, then they can just play that in their pitch window. And it's just a recorded video. Then there can be discussion. Not everyone wants to go through the process of editing and recording. They just want to show up, because it just takes more effort to produce something for a meeting than to just show up and do the meeting. But yes. Andrew, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'm curious. You mentioned other potential options other than Zoom. So are you like potentially looking at? I think with Eden, the idea was making a Zoom plugin essentially.
Yeah, no, we're not going to integrate. We're not going to integrate with Zoom. That's going to be something that'll work in your browser or an Electron app that we have complete control over. Zoom integration is just not robust enough. So we got.
I heard Fractally's decentralized video meeting room platform is going to, be a disrupt Zoom and the whole meeting industry.
It's not going to disrupt the whole meeting industry, but it will do better for what we're doing in our application specific.
I also, sorry. I also wanted to just a real quick mention. I saw a suggestion from Doug Butner that sounded really interesting, which is for each user to have some way to rank themselves and express their intention of where they would like to be on the rankings. Might make it a little bit easier to come to consensus. So I just thought I'd mention that.
You can't rank yourself till you hear everyone else, right? Because you're just kind of assuming that you're better than people you haven't even heard from. But yes, being able to communicate that non-verbally during a call might be useful. Chuck, your hand's up, and then I'll go to Brandon.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, regarding the accountability issues, like from the beginning of this process last year, what we had, the first meetings were fantastic, and you can go back and on chain in the Eden app, you could pick what meeting you wanted to watch, then you could click on it and watch the archived video of it, and it's a fantastic tool. But it's going to get way out of hand with so much footage, right? And there has to be a way to organize the footage. And the work that I've been doing for the chief delegates, where you take a large video, make detailed notes of it, and then try to chunk it down into digestible components, that can all be put on chain, right? That can all be, every step of the way can have a hash associated with it, right? So you could have teams of people who go through and farm these 1 hour meetings, where you have to, the job is to take detailed notes of the meetings, make a PDF of that, hash that, and then other people can go in and chunk it down into the essential part of the video, including the consensus meeting, and then have a very, very concise, say 5-minute video that's a summary of that 1 hour room, right? And then have that hashed. And then
even if we have 5-minute videos per room, if we've got 7,000 people, that's going to be 1,000 rooms times 5 minutes. It's going to be 97 hours of video. No one's going to actually be able to watch it, let alone edit it down to do it.
The only way to do it is to provide a breadcrumb trail back to it. If you ever needed to, I'm thinking for this level of stuff, it's not that critical. But when we're actually getting into chain governance, it's another level of
definitely any meeting of the council would be recorded. But the purpose of recording the weekly meetings are if you suspect there's a problem and you have a dispute, you can open the dispute and reference that particular video. Or if somebody is violating community guidelines with respect to how they're treating the other people on their call, or they're late, or there's clearly some kind of bot or something's going on that's caught, it only takes one person from the group to say, hey, something's funny here, let's review this, and people can compare notes and say, hey, this person's appearing on 2 different calls or whatnot, and it's and it can be tracked down on a as needed basis. Most of that video will not need to be kept for more than a couple of months because it's just entirely too much. And if something great happens, then that group might edit their own and then turn it into a blog post to help share. But I think for the most part, what happens in the meetings is just between those meeting participants. And the only thing the community cares about is the consensus that they reached, which is what's broadcast.
Yeah, I'm talking more about public meetings, right? Public meetings that are critical, where you have actual democracy happening. You need a fourth estate there that's honest and that's accountable and that you can audit, right? So every time something is summarized, it's got to hash back to the original footage, which hashes back to everything to the origin of everything. So anyway.
Yeah. So if Fractally, our company, is going to be hosting the videos, it's going to be a lot of data. It's going to be very expensive. And so how much we can actually store is going to be a function of how valuable the tokens are and how much respect people are giving us for hosting it. But even if you just summarized the groups from the top group, there's 32 groups after 3 levels if you have 7,000 members. So that's it's still a lot of content, but I guess those would be the ones where you would be distilling down, because those are going to be the biggest leaders, and they're probably going to be hashing and talking about the relative merits of what they're doing. It's going to be really, really hard for them to choose after a while between which is more important. It's just going to be really, really hard. But all right. Since we're not doing any other rounds, if you haven't already, published to the chat log of the session your group order and or your EOS and Hive name, please do so now. Anything that's not logged is going to be really, really hard for us to recover later. And so please post to the chat here. And I believe that chat is being recorded by Zoom and so forth.
Can we choose either or, like Hive or EOS?
Eventually, I'm going to need Hive because Hive is easier to get going with right now and has the ability to post content and do likes and upvotes and things like that. We'd have to build an entire EOS app to get a lot of that stuff done. I don't want to do.
An idea there is that we could submit a very simple form, like a form. You fill a form with 1 to 6 the places, and then that's what gets filled into the memo of a transaction. And you sign a transaction for 0.0001, which I think is the least EOS to send with that memo.
Either way, that's effectively the same thing as typing into a comment field on Hive. And with Hive, you can have other discussions in the mix with the actual things. So these are the votes, and by the way, this is a summary of why or feedback, and then it gets more people and it's on the internet and everyone can see it. You don't need to have a block explorer and other tools. I'm trying to minimize the amount of temporary tooling so we can focus on just the finer tools instead of building like 3 or 4 different times. But obviously, if we have more manpower, more people that are interested in building a temporary tool, I would definitely consider adopting a tool that was full-featured enough and easy enough to use in the interim until we get everything. But Hive has a lot of solutions for getting accounts. This Anchor makes it pretty easy too, if you have Apple at least. Cool. Igor, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, actually, I have one question. Is it possible to make fractal governance without video calls, like in some more asynchronous form, maybe adapted by some specific fractals? Is it possible to avoid real-time calls and to adopt some form of asynchronous fractal governance?
It may be possible to do that. the video calls are solving a number of problems. They're preventing Sybil attacks. You can, in theory, be on 4 or 5 different calls with just audio and just hop on the right one whenever it's your turn to talk. So video is one thing. The other is connection with people. It's a lot easier to connect to people when you can see them, you can read their expressions, and that human-to-human connection is part of the process. It's what helps bond us together and build a community versus nameless faces or faceless names and text and or audio. I think that there's an element of small town feel whenever it's on video. But I realized that just looking at the people who showed up today, there are no women. If there's any women on here, I apologize if I missed you, but it seems like we are clearly biased toward selecting for guys, and that might have something to do with appearing on camera. So definitely worth considering. I think in order to participate in a fractal, it's kind of like it's the people that are governing, and that's the people that are showing up and they're getting the tokens and they're contributing. You can post online without being on. Like you can submit blog posts and get voted on by the governing and earn. You can earn by inviting people. You can earn by staking, and you can earn by providing liquidity. So there's lots of ways that you can earn respect without appearing on camera. But if you want to have a say over governance decisions, in terms of how we're voting on content, social media, your vote weight on the social media side is based on your ranking in the meetings. Your team is based on your ranking in these meetings, and that determines the council and everything else. So the people that are impacting everyone, they have to appear on camera to be held accountable. But you can earn respect and participate. You can own the token. You can engage with the community without being part of the governing body. It's just like not everyone has to be a politician and you can go that route. So I think the camera shy can take any of those other methods of earning respect, but you just won't be able to directly participate in the governance process. What you can do is offline, talk to all the people that are participating in the video calls and try to persuade them of your things you value, and they can then attempt to share your values and represent that in the weekly meetings. Excuse me.
Yes, thanks.
All right, we're at the 2-hour mark. I'm going to end the meeting now. Thank you so much for participating. I'll see you guys same place next week, and hopefully it'll go even smoother. So if you haven't had a chance to read the Fractal Contributor Agreement, go ahead and do so, and provide your feedback in the Telegram chat.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everyone. Respect to all.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dan. Thanks so much.
Go Fractally.
Thank you.
Go
Thank you.
Go Fractally.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. See ya.